You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He is Bill Flowers, Ole Miss legend and former wide receiver that participated in one of the most famous Ole Miss LSU games that have been played. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Bill, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man.
This is my favorite week of the year, and I hate the fact that a hurricane is causing us to have to record early and all of this, and could affect things for me just personally, because I love this Ole Miss LSU game so much, and a lot of it goes back to that 2003 game going in there. Talk about the lead up to that game and playing in that game. What was it like? What was it like when Travis Johnson picked off that pass?
Oh man, whenever you play LSU, that's such a great rival. I'm going to say something that hopefully I don't get in trouble for. Being from Birmingham, I didn't know much about the LSU Ole Miss rivalry. That was something that was just very much of a, okay, I go to Ole Miss. Like, who am I supposed to hate? I'm thinking that, Mississippi State's my team that I'm going to hate. And so I see all this like GAUX, LSU, whatever. I'm like, hey, what is that? And I realized, okay, well, all right, go to hell, LSU, that. And then I'm hearing these words called Kunas. And I'm like, what? What is this stuff? Like, what are you talking about? And I learned real early as my freshman year when I came to Ole Miss that it is LSU is who you are supposed to hate. Like, yeah. That's the team. So I preface everything around that. Like, LSU, like that's the team that you're not supposed to like. So there's a visceral kind of just a great energy around that game, no matter what. No matter if it's at Baton Rouge, if it's in Oxford, you've got so many people that live, that are from the state of Louisiana that come to Ole Miss. So it's the energy just builds up no matter what. And then, that 2003 game, we knew whoever won that game was going to win the national championship, 100%. There was no doubt about it. We knew that, for us, that because of our two losses, or three losses, that whoever won that game was going to go in and play Georgia, wipe the floor with them in the SEC championship, and then go in, and play a BCS bowl game. We knew if LSU won, they were going to go wipe the floor with Georgia and go play for a national championship and win it. We knew 100% that was going to happen. So we knew we were the two best teams in the country, without a doubt. We also came off a bye. Let me tell you, I hate buys. I think bye weeks are really difficult. If you look at Georgia when they played Alabama, they were really slow to get going. And it wasn't until the second half that they started getting their momentum back. And so I think that bye weeks are going to, sometimes play to your advantage or sometimes play to your disadvantage. It keeps you from getting on that roll. So coming in that LSU game, Travis Johnson catches that interception, and I've never been in an environment that was that loud, that quick, that fast of just explosion. And before the game, there was 100,000 people in Oxford. Like, that, there had never been that many people in the Grove before. 100,000 people. Like, when we walked through the Grove, you could have thrown a penny and it would have bounced 10 times before it hit the ground on people's heads. So that environment, that game was absolutely amazing. But I'll tell you, the greatest, probably the most memorable experience for me as a player is my redshirt freshman year going down to Baton Rouge after 2001. Again, I'm just green. I'm not really sure who to like. What's this rivalry all about? My first time in Baton Rouge. We're we're driving down in our buses, and I'm seeing literally grandmothers putting their grandchildren's finger up, middle finger, teaching them how to give the birdie to opposing teams. Them throwing hot dogs, them throwing food at our buses, getting off the bus, and it just being electric. The whole student body section of the stadium was completely filled, and they were lit. And I remember walking out before the game, and as a redshirt freshman, going, "Okay, if there's one thing I'm going to remember about college football, it's going to be this environment. This is what college football is all about. There is no greater atmosphere playing in college football than Baton Rouge at night. I just don't think there can be. They had people now. PETA came in and told that Mike the Tiger is not allowed to be starved a couple days before the game, and growl and try to intimidate the opposing team before they come out of the tunnel. I mean, when you're walking out of your tunnel, and you see this lion just roaring, and this tiger just roaring and just growling. It was amazing. And so I just think that the history behind the game, the history behind the rivalry, just makes this game so fun for Ole Miss. So going down and playing in Baton Rouge is going to be something that is definitely an advantage for LSU, but it's going to be something there's definitely an intimidation factor, but this is what you play for as players, and it doesn't affect the players. It's just, you just realize that you're just in a hostile environment, and this is why you want to, players want to play in these kind of games. This is what you kind of live for.
Yeah, and back in 2006, when I was on the staff at Ole Miss, we went down and played LSU. Ole Miss ended up losing the game, as they did most of the games during that period of time. But that's beside the point. You walk out the tunnel, you get changed, you're doing all the pregame stuff, getting ready to do just a walk around on the field to kind of see the environment. And you walk out of their tunnel, which is on the side of the field a little bit, and you're kind of looking all around, because Tiger Stadium's like just one of this great old environments, and you're trying to soak it all in. And then boom, there's that tiger right there just looking at you, to where you can literally walk into the cart. And I was like, I literally jumped, and I can't imagine what I would be like now whenever I would have probably been on my phone walking out the door, where the attention was even more scatterbrained. But I will never forget, Mike scared the heck out of me the first time I saw him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just awesome. It was just awesome. And I don't think that's allowed. I don't think he's there anymore. I don't think they have him.
I don't think he's in the stadium. He's just in his enclosure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so people aren't going to have to deal with that. But that was a thing when you walked out of that tunnel, and that first thing you saw was a 400-pound tiger looking at you.
Yeah. So I just think that I think the environment that they're going to go play in is definitely going to be an environment that works to LSU's advantage. But when you are a mature team and you're locked in, I really don't think those environments really affect the game. It just makes it that much more fun.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the game itself and what Ole Miss has to do to get the victory down in Tiger Stadium for the first time since 2008. Bill Flowers is joining us. Stick around for that. But hey, everybody, I do want to tell you something for you that's a real game changer. Z-Biotics, a pre-alcohol, prebiotic drink, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, is designed to help you feel great the morning after a night out. It's created by PhD scientists. Z-Biotics tackles those rough mornings by breaking down a toxic byproduct in your gut that's responsible for your hangovers, not dehydration like most people think. Look, I won't lie. I was a bit skeptical at first, but then while hanging out with some friends at a weekend barbecue, I decided to give it a try. I made Z-Biotics my first drink of the night, followed by my usual favorite drink. And the next morning, I felt amazing. It was like I hadn't even gone out the night before. No sluggishness, no grogginess, just ready to take on the day. So here's how it works. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme that breaks down that toxic byproduct that's in your gut, responsible for those tough mornings. Just remember, for the best results, make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. And of course, drink responsibly. Head over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get $15 off your first order when you use code LockedOnCollege at checkout. Plus, Z-Biotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. So remember, that's zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use the code LockedOnCollege for $15 off. Try Z-Biotics. It's the key to feeling your best after a night out. Hey, NFL fans, you can start your season with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Ole Miss right now is favored by 3.5 points against the LSU Tigers in a line that is kind of staying stable, even though all the bets and the monies right now is slanting towards LSU's direction. Maybe Vegas knows something. If you get a hunch like that in the middle of the game, you can use their website to check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. So, Bill, I was sitting here thinking, and after I get done with this show, I'm going to record my Why Ole Miss Wins episode that I do every Friday that airs. And I was sitting here thinking, the best two units in this game is probably the Ole Miss defense is the better one, the best one. But then Ole Miss's offense is leading statistically a lot over LSU as well. And so if the offense and the defense are statistically superior, you have to feel pretty good about Ole Miss, even though you're going down to Tiger Stadium.
All right, so put an asterisk by that offensive statistics, and I think you know why I'm saying that.
Trey Harris, yes.
Well, no.
Oh.
You played terrible teams in the beginning of the season.
But so did LSU. Let's just be fair.
Right. So I think that if you're going to focus on statistical evidence, I think statistically it needs to be against LSU. It needs to be against SEC caliber teams to make it fair. So if you were to look at LSU and their SEC opponents versus our SEC opponents, how does that compare? That's what I would look at, because that's a comparable evidence. Now, I'm going to say that, again, Ole Miss should score 40 points. There's not a team in the country that Ole Miss should not score 40-plus points. If Ole Miss does not score 40-plus points, I don't think they win.
No, there's no way LSU is going to score 40 on this defense.
So
none.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like if Ole Miss can hold the ball. Now, here's, to me, the X factor of Ole Miss winning is them establishing the run. And I didn't realize how much importance Judkins meant to the team with his ability to be that power back when we really needed him. This is our offense right now, with how, against our SEC caliber teams, Dart missed a number of throws last week that we should have.
He had a bad game against South Carolina.
We should have easily had 41 points. Between Dart and Juice Wells. Those two guys did not have great games, and we should have easily been over 41 points. So with that being said, if we can't run the ball and keep the time of possession in our favor, we lose that game 100%. So that's my thing. It's all predicated around how we run the ball and keep the ball in our possession.
I think it's also important to notice that South Carolina team that we saw play this past weekend scored 33 points against that LSU team. That is LSU's only SEC game, to my knowledge, at this point, is that South Carolina game. And if Lenore Sellers, the quarterback that we saw over the weekend, does not get hurt, South Carolina probably beats LSU.
Yeah. Well, hey, every week's new. And as you see, Georgia to Alabama, Alabama to Vanderbilt.
Go Vandy. Go Vandy.
Anybody there, you're only as good as your quarterback. Let's just make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
This is the college football in the SEC is now a true miniature NFL. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, you're only as good as your quarterback, unless you have a world-class generational defense that and you have an amazing run game. You are only as good as your quarterback. And so if you look at us right now with what we've got, it's all around Dart. It's all about him being able to connect when we need him to connect, making sure that we're capitalizing over the middle of the field. Again, we do not have the power back. So we're going to have to utilize the inside receivers. And let me tell you, I felt like Kiffin and whoever and the play callers last week did a great job of really trying to make sure that they utilize the middle of the field, tried to get that run game going by keeping the short throws around the peripheral of the middle of the field there. Didn't always connect, but hey, they did their job. If I'm LSU, again, I'm going to look at Alabama. I'm going to look at last year, look at Kentucky, and I'm going to do what South Carolina tried to do, which was drop as many as you can, use your big defensive lineman, and I'm going to spy Dart. And if I can spy Dart and keep him from running, then that's what you've got to do. And if they can do that and keep the middle of the field from getting the ball, it's going to be tough. And I just hope that we can get the big plays, middle plays, but especially our run game going in some way.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and get the run game going as well. And Matt Jones, it looks like he might be out for this game. Again, with this staff and injuries, who the heck knows? But the rumor is that Matt Jones is probably the more severe of the two, which means Ole Miss's fans are probably going to get to see Ulysses Bentley, honestly.
So, I mean, I've been saying this from the beginning, is that I think that Bentley is probably somehow, some way has done something. There's something going on personally, maybe, but it could have been, we're going to use Bentley as our back for when we hit the SEC.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to sustain a healthy running back all year long. So don't utilize him in the beginning of the year. Utilize him at the end of the year when you need him. Maybe that's been the plan the whole time. I don't know, but for some reason he's been too good of a back. You don't go from 2 years ago to last year to this year to 0 carries, essentially. Yeah. So hopefully he can be what we need.
Yeah, and this is the most important game of the season for Ole Miss, and probably this is the most important game that Lane Kiffin has ever been the head coach of.
Oh, 100%. Again, you look at the Jets. Woody Johnson said this is the most talented team that the Jets have ever assembled in his 25 years of ownership. ever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, there's so many expectations. And as Ole Miss fans, we essentially are the ownership of that team. We're like Green Bay. There is no owner. We're we're the NIL collective. We so I feel like Kiffin's probably got a lot of pressure on him. He's got a lot of pressure on him from the fans. He's got a lot of pressure on him from himself. So it will be interesting to see how he can maintain this pressure of guys. Listen, this is our season right here, because if you lose this game, then everybody's on an even playing field right now. But LSU is a good team, but Georgia's a good team, and then you got Arkansas. I mean,
Arkansas, come on.
There's a lot more out there than just LSU now. In the beginning of the season, we were pretty much like, okay, you got LSU, which could be tough, but there was not even a doubt that there was going to be an issue with Kentucky or South Carolina. And so I think that Ole Miss really needs to go down, beat LSU at LSU to secure their chances of getting in the playoffs. And I think that from a confidence standpoint, you go down as a team and beat LSU at LSU at night, you walk out of there with your chest up, going, yeah, we're as good as we think we are.
It becomes real if they win in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So we'll see exactly how that goes. Anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Bill Flowers, Ole Miss legend, joining us. You going to the game? What are your plans for the weekend, buddy?
I mean, I think it's fall break, so we might go to the beach, Orange Beach area, for the long weekend, or we might stay around. We're just not sure yet. Just kind of playing it by ear, but I'll definitely be watching the Rebs.
All right, Bill. We'll see you next week, bud.
All right, buddy. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, Toddy. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.